agreement with, Barge Design.
Matthew here with Barge Design, and he's going to discuss, so he's going to be, talking to you about item 1 and item 2.
Okay. So we'll both look one night.
All right, so, first on, the discussion for the conversion of the water treatment plant from a mixed oxygen system that's currently being used here to a bleach system, sodium hypochlorite system. It's our understanding that the current system is, a lot of the equipment there is at end of life. Okay, and in order to, prevent having to switch that out with new systems, which is it's a very complicated system, high cost of use, and produces on-site generation, to just switch that out for a bleach system, which would have to be brought in, pumped into day tanks, and then utilized for disinfection that way. It's a lot more straightforward system, simpler, and easy to use, maintain, repair. So we've provided a proposal to do design work for that, essentially take that from design all the way through to construction, assist with bidding, design, permitting, and construction administration, and part-time inspection services. Sir?
How soon do you expect to start that?
Given approval execution, we could start that next month. We could start that towards the end of August. We can get out on the dot.
Because I just saw that it said within reasonable time, and I wasn't sure what that translated to.
Sure. So probably within a couple weeks, 2 weeks after we get approval, we can ready to start that. That would be about 3 months of design, a month for permitting, then a month for bidding, contract award, and then about 4 months for construction. So we'd be looking at about, from approval, 10 months out for that to be from inception to completion.
And I noticed too, they said that Barge would would endeavor to secure and maintain insurance. What does that
We would have insurance.
mean? Endeavor.
Yes.
Really try hard. You know.
I understand that it could be taken away, but absolutely, we maintain full professional insurance.
Oh, and you maintain ownership basically of all drawings, reports, and documents, is that correct?
In terms of, yes, we would maintain ownership as the engineer of record, but as part of the proposal, we would be providing the sealed bid-ready construction documents and the construction issued for construction sets and the record drawings. So all final drawings would be issued to the town of Spring City as well. So.
Okay, and what if we terminated our relationship with Barge later?
During mid contract,
Or no, toward the end of the contract or whatever?
we would issue whatever we have it to that point.
Okay, so we get those.
Yes.
And the contract that we will have, what if somewhere along the way, Barge screws up? Not that you would, but, and has to change the plan. Would we be required to pay for that change as the city? I mean, in other words, the engineering of that change. I mean, I understand that we'd be required to, take care of getting it done or whatever the contractor. But would we have, in other words, would we have to pay Barge twice for doing the same job?
If it was a design-related error on our part, no. If it was an owner furnished change, if we were having to design and town wanted to change the design somehow to alter what we had already produced, then we would then track those costs. That would be likely to change.
I mean, we have had that happen before, where they came in, I can't remember who it was for sure, but they came in and they had the design, and something was wrong about the design, so they had to redo the design, and we had to pay for it twice.
Yeah, with standard practice, if we make the mistake, if it's a design mistake on our end, we would have to cover that cost.
Okay.
That's where we read the contract to make sure they're held accountable, not like we have been in the past, where
Yeah.
they just throw it down in front of you and walk out the door. It don't work like that.
Yeah, and I noticed too that you all would be checking along the way, and at the end, you would be checking contractor to be sure that things were being done according to specifications, is that correct?
That is correct. There would be, construction administration service in it. It would cover progress meetings on site, kickoff meetings during construction, and then also reviewing their submittals, make sure they're in compliance with our specifications and plans, and then also have a part-time inspector or PR on the site to make sure that they're compliant with everything.
Because we've run into that before too. We've run into a
That's
little
been
bit.
our fault for not going and being nosy. I'm
Well,
sorry. I'm totally sorry. We learned from our mistakes, but in the past, we sat up here, we made decisions. You take care of it, and we stayed here. They took care of it, and they've been, it's a win-win. It ain't happening no more. I'm sorry.
Well, the thing is, we didn't have it in the contract.
Well,
At one time, we didn't have it in the contract that the engineering firm would check along and that they would do the final inspection. It was not in there, that was the county.
that's that boat ramp out there.
Yeah, that was the county that made that contract. It was, we were involved with it.
We
It
was
was the
involved, but
county.
still, that was a
Yeah.
voided contract that should have had never been passed. I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, I agree.
For this cost, we have got to be on the grounds of looking ourselves, from the public works department all the way up to the staff. Don't drag your feet down the road.
Okay, let's see. Barge would address up to 2 sets of comments from TDEC. Any additional comment sets may be handled as additional services. I'm not sure what that means exactly.
So we submit the first submittal to Pennsylvania Environment and Conservation, and then they would typically review the plans and specifications. And in the past, it has been pretty quick. They might have given us one set of comments from the reviewer. We handle them, we submit them. As they're becoming more stringent on things, they're giving us 2 second sets, sometimes third. So we will handle 2 sets of comments. We'll submit it. If they give us comments, we'll address them, resubmit it, send them back. We'll take care of them again. But if we get into a situation where they're just going back and forth, we may need to look at something there. I don't anticipate that being the case. Usually 2 is more than enough.
If they came up with 3, the city would have to pay. Is that what?
We're trying to cover our exposure on that, and we've also had issues with that as well. So that's what I'm saying.
You learn, don't you?
Yes.
Okay, so, work really hard on that. We don't want to have to pay for any of it.
Another thing,
Um,
I'm not sure she's got a time on some of the regulations.
You would be submitting weekly construction progress reports, would that be to the city?
Yes.
Gotten all of my notations there.
Number two,
So the discussion regarding the asset management plan agreement.
yes.
So there is currently a contract with the city for construction on water main replacements on Tennessee Street, New Lake Road. Those are part of the American Rescue Plan Act grant project, which is federal funds through the state. As a stipulation on those grants, the state is requiring an asset management plan to be reimbursed for the final 10% of those funds. So as part of that, city has applied for an infrastructure planning grant, a separate grant, to do an asset management plan, which would meet that criteria for the first grant, essentially. So this proposal covers that asset management plan for the water system. And it also covers a few other planning items for the city. But essentially, that asset management plan is to produce a master plan for the water system, track all the different assets, the lines, different components of the plants, put a rough cost to them, get data on all of them, put them in basically a master planning spreadsheet, and also along with mapping, so GIS mapping for all of the city's water assets. That is a requirement for that first grant, that it would be, it is covered in this second grant, the planning grant, state grant. It does have a match for the city on that.
This is water and wastewater,
That's correct, yes, it's water, wastewater.
because you were just mentioning water, so I just wanted to clarify that.
So when it says existing GIS data, I'm looking at this agreement, does that mean that whoever gets this awarded to them, they're going to do a GIS of our system, that they're gonna give to us, is that what, am I understanding that correctly?
Yes, I think you have some information on the GIS system, is that correct?
We have some.
So we would be taking what you have existing and then adding to it and essentially growing that, taking what you already have and then updating it and finalizing it in GIS. So you would have a current mapping system.
We have a new GIS, this is called IMGIS, have you heard of that one?
Don't get what I'm doing.
Okay, it's very new to us, we just got it, what, about 6 months ago, Kevin? How long have we had that IMGIS, about 6 months?
Yeah.
Okay, so they're gonna take what we have and they're gonna add to that system.
Yes.
Will you actually be putting it on the new GIS system, the GIS system, or are you just gonna give us like papers and this says what we have?
It would
Do
be
you know
through the
what I'm saying?
software. You'd be able to access it. So the whole point is for you to have the software with GIS with it all updated. So when you essentially click on pipe, it would tell you the size, the dimension, everything about it. So you would have that available for the whole department.
Okay, so it's not like you do that and then one of our people has to load it back on.
We're supposed to give you the whole thing.
Okay.
So you can utilize it. I think this one was split up, I think it was 4 months. We had this made for the asset management plan. And I think it was 3 months for the wastewater. Got 5 months for the asset management plan. Industrial park wastewater evaluation would be about 3 months, and 2 months for a mutual aid connection assessment. But several of those could be done in conjunction with the other ones, so it'd be about 6 months.
Asset management plan, lump sum is $68,000, right?
Yes, sir.
Industrial park, wastewater evaluation, $28,000.
That's correct.
And mutual aid connection assessment, Mayor, you got any questions?
But now that total is the grant itself, right?
That total is the amount in the grant for the professional fees. I think the grant total is a bit. I think the grant total is 126, 127, right around there.
And so then, how much of that, you said it's a match, how much of it is our portion out of that
I
127?
believe the city has a total match of $6,250, $6,050 for the professional services and $200 for the grant administration fees.
And then the rest is covered by the grant.
Yes, the state.
So, the industrial park wastewater evaluation, what does that involve? What does that?
That's a evaluation based on the industrial park, what kind of, first we need to look at information based on what kind of potential users would be moving in there. Because believe we did an assessment, I can't remember how many years ago, on that area, and it was determined that the force main there was not adequate for potential flow that could come out of there, so there would need to be upsizing. But it has been quite a few years, so this would be taken into consideration, new data projections for what kind of potential users you could have there, and then what could need to be done in order to make that feasible. So a developer or an industrial user could come in there and have the capacity time for wastewater.
So it would be based on, basically projections, because, I mean, really, General Shell's all that's up there. You know, we don't, our industrial park is,
We would look at the model, the wastewater model, and determine how much you have available there, and then if you were to update it, or if you wanted to add new industrial users, what would need to be done, how big would the port need to be put in, would a new pump station need to be put in, things of that
so
nature.
kind of planning.
Essentially, yes, planning to see
For
what
future
your
industry.
options are, yes.
I'm guessing that would be helpful if we did have somebody that was looking at that property and on what we have it up. From what we could do.
How many people looked at that property in the last 6 years?
I know 30. But now, that doesn't mean there hasn't been people up there, we just don't know about it.
Yeah. I was curious, cause
The last time somebody was up there was 2 summers ago? Were you up there that day? Was that about 2 summers ago?
But there's a lot of times people will go and investigate areas, you don't even know that they.
And at times, really, the county officials have brought people back and not bothered to.
Well, REPC is making a lead on that. Bringing them in. Got any questions?
That's everything I can think of.
Put it on the agenda for next week. 1 and 2.
Will you be available if there are any more questions?
I
Let me
am,
know then.
yes,
And just to clear something up, workshop is for us to have all our discussions. If you got any more questions, I suggest you email them or get on the phone, because we come to have our regular voting meeting. We're gonna go through protocol, we're gonna have our meeting, we've had a week to discuss, to search, and find out something. We're not staying here all day and night, to have a meeting. And to the audience, you got 3 minutes, one person per thing. we getting back on schedule. This is coming up on my first year's anniversary. We're going by the book, in the book. So for the commission board, you got any discussion or question past this date, you do it on your own time, because come next Thursday, it's my time, you don't do it on my time. Put it on the agenda,
Yeah, I'm good with it.
all right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you for answering all my questions.
That's why we have this workshop. Number 3 is discussion with Brittany Lewis with CBIZ in regards to city employees' health insurance rates for 2025, 2026. Y'all had your heart medicine yet?
Yeah. Good evening. I know y'all just love to discuss this every year.
Now, Brittany, before you get started, you have this up here, okay, that's what you need to do. Right?
Yes.
This one here. And this paper here.
Yeah.
Okay.
We received the city's renewal, from Blue Cross Blue Shield. They did come in with a 16% increase. A lot of factors played into that. We did have to add a second network a few years ago, to incorporate, CHI as a provider because they left Blue Cross's core network that you guys were involved in. Since then, no one is participating in that network, so we're gonna take that network away. So we're only gonna, for the purposes of looking at numbers, we're only gonna be looking at, anything that says S on the end of it in the description, not P. Currently, no one's enrolled, and I don't think anyone has any plans to enroll in that plan. But with a 16% increase, one of the main contributing factors was we had 7 employees that are projected to hit about $20,000 in claims by the end of the plan year on September 30th. So we did have to go to market and look at alternatives. With that claims history, unfortunately, a lot of other carriers returned numbers that were higher or pretty similar to what that 16% increase is. So we go back to Blue Cross and ask what can we do to change the plan a little bit to kind of offset that cost. So on the right side of the page, you'll see some alternate plans. We're messing with the deductible a little bit, taking that up, kind of playing with the prescription co-pays to see if that makes a difference in it. And if you look at the bottom, you'll see that brought it down to a 7.1% increase on a couple of options and a 6.7 on another option. We can get creative outside of that and look at ways to, maybe not hit employees so hard, because if you look at the deductible goes from $3,600 to $5,400 or $6,200 to $6,400. To offset that, we can take the HRA or the health reimbursement arrangement that this contributes to for each employee. Currently, there's $3,000 per employee that gets contributed to that. We can up that amount to be $4,000, $5,000, so that we can get closer to that deductible, and that offsets that a little bit. The major difference is instead of paying 16% increase to Blue Cross, and you never see that money again, you just pay those premiums. With the HRA, if you put it into the HRA and all employees don't use that, that comes back to you at the end of the year. And not every employee does. We looked at the utilization on that. That's what this page is gonna tell you. About $44,000 has been used out of the HRA funds, but there's still $60,000 that has not been used. That would be, if we close those accounts today, that would be $60,000 to come back to the city. Obviously, that number is gonna go down over the next 2 months, but we can do a 7% increase and possibly get some of the HRA money back instead of getting that 16% increase in premium form.
Ma'am?
It's a lot.
You were looking at me, so I was just wondering.
The $60,000 that were,
That funds the HRA for employees. Total funding per year for that is between $90,000 to $100,000. At the end of the year, anything that is not spent by employees, the city gets that back in a reimbursement from the company that handles this for you. Right now, where we stand, 44,000 of it has been paid out, 60,000 is due to come back.
so I'm just asking this, could we theoretically, if we still have 60,000 at the end of the year, could we theoretically use that money to go with the better insurance? Is that reasonable?
Well, the 60,000 is what's in, the tax cards that we get,
Right.
that's the remaining balance that we have that it will be used, accredited towards next year, right?
Correct, yes.
Okay.
When I say it comes back to the city, it doesn't come back in the form of a check, you roll that into next year's balance.
See, how,
It
how
goes
this-
into
how
next
this
year's
works-
HRA?
Yes.
Okay.
How this works is, I have $3,000 on a test card. Every employee has one, okay? Well, I'll just be honest with you. I've only used $700 some dollars of my money. So the city is getting back essentially, what? $2,300, $2,400, somewhere around in there, back towards the tax. So if we go with this plan, Ron 73S, we're only gonna have a 6.7% increase. We can still bump up the amount on the tax to $5,000. We're still gonna be ahead of the game because not everybody's going to max out their $5,000. We have a few people who are high-end users of the tax card. We have some that have never even used it throughout this year. I noticed that there were
4 employees on the list that
more employees that.
0 that have been spent. There were also about 4 or 5 employees that used all $3,000. But the majority of the people fell in that same category, like Brenda was saying, about $2,000 is still remaining. Most people use under $1,000 of their health care.
So what they don't use goes back to the credit towards us for the next year.
So, let me understand, if we're not changing.
You're not changing at all, it's a 16% increase, which is about, it's almost $100 for the
More
employee
for
rate
employee,
down
yes.
per month.
Instead of 50.
What is our average that is not used a year under the?
About 1,500.
For individual, I mean total, what is our usual?
I didn't do totals, I looked at individual, I can only run, my reporting is limited when I run it in the system, but about 1,500 per employee is the average,
That's left.
yes.
So for what we've got here, we'd be looking at, if you roll that over, look at 6%. Is that what you said?
6.7%.
0.7%. On the bottom of this spreadsheet in red, you'll see that if you renew as is for 16%, it's gonna cost about $31,000 more per year. And then if you look at those alternates on the right, we're looking at that last plan, it's only gonna be $13,000 more. And that's not even taking into account the money that you get back from tax, or from tax from the HRAs, that kind of offsets that.
So roughly, according to what you're just saying, $1,500.
$1,500
At least
times
33,
25 employees.
roughly.
$45,000 if you multiply that by the employees.
We have, on here we have 25.
Yes, there's 25 of them.
It would be 37,500.
Correct, roughly.
So,
Did a little typo on that last plan too, by the way, as a 6,400 deductible total.
and so that would basically mean that people would have to pay $6,400 out of pocket before they would be.
6,400 before the plan begins paying anything, with the exception of prescription coverage. That's another thing I want to highlight. Currently, you have preventive drug coverage on your current plan. It pays for simple medications like blood pressure medications, diabetes medications, anything preventive. Nothing major like for a heart condition or anything like that, or cancer treatment drugs. So on those preventive drugs, they're currently paying a copay of $10, $35, or $60, depending on where those are tiered. That would have to go up. We can take it away completely, or we can just up those copays a little bit, and that also offsets the cost. That last plan that we're looking at moving to, takes the $10 copay to $20, the $35 to $50, and the $60 to $100.
Well, I'll just tell you, I don't know that any of our employees could afford $6,500 pay out before they have any insurance. coverage.
Well, with the
So-
task, with the task card that everyone gets, there's gonna be $5,000 on that instead of 3,000, so that eats up most of that, so the most
Only like
employees,
$1,400.
yeah, that leaves only 1,400 that they would have to come
Well, how much less does this, one in the last column, the 7,000? Anyway, how much less does it cover than what our Are there things cut out?
No, there's nothing cut out, it's the exact same coverage, they'll still have prescription coverage. There's no changes as far as how the plan pays out, except that we just adjusted numbers and how much it pays, but it still pays for the same coverage.
So, not really familiar with how this operates exactly, but, so if they have $5,000 in this account, and then they go to the doctor or whatever, are they gonna, and they're not that in business, 6,000, whatever, deductible, are they gonna have to pay out of pocket, or would that be covered by this account?
That account covers everything. That account will pay for office visits, it will pay for hospitalizations, it'll pay for imaging, x-rays, things like that. It will also pay for prescriptions. They can use that for all of their out-of-pocket medical expenses, so that's nice.
And that counts toward their,
And it does count towards the deductible, yes.
that might not be, I don't get you back. I was thinking, if it's $6,700, I'm just not seeing anybody paying that, being able to say that.
No, most people don't.
Drugstores, I think they still will have insurance, it just, they'll get billed so much, they'll pay so much, until you meet your deductible, you have to pay so much. It ain't like they go in there and get a bill for $8,000 and they gotta pay it.
Well, being in network with Blue Cross, what happens is, say you walked in to get an MRI, and that MRI was gonna cost $1,000. They will bill that to Blue Cross for $1,000, but for participating in the Blue Cross network, they say, okay, you can only actually bill us for 400 of it. So even though an MRI may cost $1,000, they can only technically bill Blue Cross for $400 of it, and you can only get $400 credit towards your deductible because they chose to participate in that provider network.
So that only counts $400 towards your
Correct.
$6,000.
Correct.
Told the employees that it's going up, right?
So this, the last one has the highest deductible.
Correct. Correct.
And,
We wanted to look at a plan that kept prescription co-pays for preventive drugs because that's the majority of the health plan usage is for blood pressure medications, diabetes medications, things like that. Other than doctor's visits, that's the bulk of what people are using insurance for. I did present an option that does not have prescription co-pays, but that's just not very fitting for what the employees are using the plan for.
So what's the difference between the 72S and 73S? I mean, what's the difference between the all prescriptions and then the preventative and then all prescriptions?
The 72S where it says all prescriptions, number one, that's not just preventive medicine, that's a copay for all medications. It doesn't matter if it's preventive drug or if it's a major drug. But the key thing is it says after deductible, which means they're not going to have a prescription copay until they have met their deductible. On that third option, at least, they do have preventive service covered until they meet the deductible.
Okay.
Yes.
So from the employee's perspective, which one do you think would be better?
The last option that has the prescription copays is the better option because that's what the majority of the employees are utilizing the plan for, are those prescriptions that are on the preventive drug list.
One would be better for taxpayers.
It's also the lowest cost plan.
Brenda, you all use this insurance, what do you think about that?
I think that, I write the checks here, so if it's me, and my thing would be best for the city, or for the employees to choose that last plan, because it's the cheapest one, but it's also gonna have good coverage for the employees. We'll be able to raise that, tax card up to 5,000. No one is gonna get to that 5,000 unless they've had something catastrophically happen.
Right. Nobody makes a $5,000 or $6,000 deductible on office visits alone. It takes their hospitalization, a major outpatient procedure, or severe testing and imaging services for a major injury.
Well, that answers the question. Agenda.
Yeah, put it on the agenda, I don't get paid for thinking.
Well, you should.
We don't.
Yes.
All right, thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
We ask a question now.
Thank you.
We ask a question on the insurance?
Huh?
Can we, from the audience, ask a question on that?
Well, I don't mind.
What percentage do the employees pay and what percentage do the city pay? And is that $5,000 that you're talking about above the cost of the premium that the city's gonna have to pay?
No, the city pays for the employee's insurance.
Yeah.
As a whole. Okay,
Where does the 5,000 come from?
that's included. The city don't put $5,000 on each individual. Is that what you asking?
Yeah.
No,
Where does it
insurance,
come from?
insurance is all in one lump ball. Once it's paid, that $5,000 goes on a card, which that card gets issued to the employees and they use that card each time they go to the doctor, which offsets the cost. As far as the copay, that's what that card is for. Is that right, ma'am?
Yes, that's correct.
And does that card increase what the city pays for the insurance?
No.
And also, if you want family coverage, then the employee pays to have the family.
So, but for the employees themselves, it's the city covers.
Yes.
The only time that the employee would pay is if it's family
They
coverage.
add family to it,
Okay.
yes.
That answers your question, Ms. Patty?
Yeah. Who else gets free insurance? Well, many school systems all do. School systems do. Pardon? I said the government does. I don't know about the government, but school system from a part of government and they do cover.
And on what part of government you work for, what they pay you.
Exactly. Exactly.
I have none, so.
All right. We'll add the insurance. Next week, we have to go look.